Here we go. Randy.
Hi, Kim. I'm just going to use your real name, right?
That's fine.
Have a seat. Thanks for coming.
You bet.
All right. So, wanted to discuss several things with you. There's a lot of good stuff that I see coming from you, and I just want to make sure that you're understanding what I'm understanding. And we'll discuss anything that you might have questions about as well.
Okay.
Okay? First of all, I want to just emphasize again that I'm very happy with your script development, the technical ability that you've shown and proven. I have no questions or concerns about whatsoever. You know, I view you as the leader of our team, and I see you as being the critical point for all technical issues going through you. So I want you to understand that that's perfect. No questions with that. Including the development of the scripts, code reviews, all I've seen are great feedback that you provide to the rest of the team. The suggestions that you also provide seem to be right on, and the team seems to respond very well to your suggestions. And I just want to say thank you for that and appreciate your hard work. One area that I would like us to discuss is something that I think we can improve upon, which would be our time management, you know, with our whole process. Okay. What I would like us to do is to try to look at what we've accomplished, what we've done in the past, and see how we can do better going forward. Okay. So with that said, I just want to reemphasize our goal for this year. So we just remember what we're striving for. We are striving for the 50% coverage of the regression test suite to be automated by the end of this fiscal year. So by the end of September, we're going to have half of all the known regression test suite will be automated. And all of our estimates and all of our goals that we've set forth are geared towards reaching that goal. Now, moving forward, like I said, I'm very happy with the development of the scripts, and technically speaking, time management is a concern, and I'd like us to be able to address that, because all the estimates for our 50% are based on what I've expected to see for how we manage our time. Okay. Now, before I get into that, I want to look into, you know, some of our successes a little bit more. I want to have a good understanding of what we've achieved and see how maybe we can put that into the other areas. So, because of the great success you've had with writing scripts, what would you say has been the major reasons or factors that have created this ability to have the good scripts that we have?
Well, I think that I'm just, you know, I've had really good experience. I've had great technical proficiency, but I think I'm also really careful. You know, I don't run tests on everything that I do, but I've come to understand what needs to be tested before moving forward. And
Okay.
yeah.
Is that something that you've just learned to do, or you've seen it from other people? I mean, how did you come to that, to know to do that?
Well, I used to spend too much, I mean, from a time management perspective, I used to spend too much time running tests of my scripts.
Okay.
And I just began to find that when I was reviewing my own code, that I would see the same types of mistakes over and over again. So, not over and over again, but, you know, I tend to make mistakes within the same areas of the code. And so I began, instead of refocusing on testing everything or reviewing the entire code, I would focus on those areas where I was likely to have mistakes and double check those areas, which has really increased my, the success of those scripts.
Okay, so you just noticed that you learned where your areas you might need to refocus on.
Right.
Okay, that's good to know. So you just kind of learned this on your own. Was it through code reviews by somebody else?
Well, I think code reviews by other people help, because they, pointed out what I found in my own review of my own work. that the mistakes were not consistently in the same types of areas, but more often than not in the same types of areas. There's some areas of coding that I virtually never make mistakes.
Mm.
So I can move very quickly through those, whereas I need to take more time and be more careful in those areas where I tend to make mistakes.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it kind of brings me to my other question about code
Mhm.
reviews. I've been very, like I said, I've been very happy with the code reviews that you've done.
Mhm.
Is it the same situation? Would you say the same learning experiences from you writing your own scripts and knowing how to review your own code has led into your ability to offer these suggestions, or is that something that you've learned from somewhere else?
Well, I think it's come from my own experience. That, and, you know, I know the other team members really well, so I know what they tend to do really well and where their areas of challenge are. I'm really careful. I'm very, very careful. And so I think that helps in code review.
Okay. Yeah, I see the biggest takeaway from this, because I'd say there's not much room for improvement on this except continuing to do what you've been doing. The biggest takeaway that I like to get out of this is how we can relay that to the rest of the team. But you know, maybe that's something we can look at.
You mean relay that skill to the
That
rest
skill,
of the team?
that process to have people, you know, instead of having us do for them, it would be nice to be able to transfer some of that knowledge and expertise and that understanding of writing scripts and code reviewing. If we can transfer that to the rest of the team, that should reduce the workload on you even more,
Mhm.
and hopefully produce more quality scripts in the process.
Mhm.
So,
Mm.
so that's something I'd like us to, you know, consider, and we can talk about that more in the future. We could take that,
Okay.
make that another topic for another time. But,
Okay.
you know, that's good to know. Thank you. Now, I noticed that, like I mentioned, the time management issue. It's like I noticed that several times we've missed a little on our time estimates.
Mhm.
What do you see as being the major reasons for those
Not
slippage?
getting information when we need it.
Okay. Is there anything other than not getting the information? Are you talking specifically workflow information, or is
Oh,
there
yeah,
anything
yeah,
in
workflow
particular?
information.
Workflow information?
Yeah, that's the primary obstacle in meeting our deadlines. Because once I have the workflow information, you know, I move pretty quickly.
Right, okay, okay. And
I think we all do.
And how do you see the obstacle of getting that information? What do you see as the main reason for that?
You know, nobody in QA has any time to sit down and come up with the workflow,
Okay.
you know, with the definitions, so.
They're just not having time. Is that
Well,
what they're
that's
saying
what I
to you?
hear.
That's what they're saying to you?
I don't know if that's the reality, but that's what I hear.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, knowing that, or believing that way, what do you see as a way that we can improve that?
Who's the head of QA for Sage 100?
That would be Linda Weber.
Maybe you need to have a talk with Linda.
Well, you know, if it's just a matter of, if it's as simple as just getting time, then yes, I guess that's something I could work on. I already know the argument once I go and have that discussion. Just like everybody else, nobody has time. There's no time available.
Mhm.
We need to be very creative in how we try to work around this.
Yeah.
Because as you know, when we first started to work on these workflows, we looked exclusively to the subject matter experts to define them and then give them to us.
Mhm.
And
And
since
now we're
now
supposed
we're
to be
getting-
working with them, which they don't even have time to sit down and talk to me.
Right, but
So, you know, I don't know, I mean, maybe you need to talk to Linda.
I will have that discussion. I'll see what I can do. I already kind of know what obstacles I'm going to find with that.
Yeah.
But besides that, is there something else that we can do as an automation team to maybe help facilitate that with them?
Yeah.
Is there something else we can do?
Well, I've thought of two things, and one is to consistently across our team have the same expected timelines on our requests. So that if I go to Jimmy and ask him for a workflow definition, or you go to Linda and ask her for one, that the timelines that we put on those are relatable. You know, I can't expect Jimmy to respond to me in 2 days. You know, but I can also, you know, if there's a reasonable expectation, if it's 5 business days or 3 business days, that be a procedure that we put in place, an expectation that we put in place. So it's not me going to Jimmy and asking him for something. It's that our area, that automation, you know, requires this information within a certain time frame. And the second piece is helping QA understand the positive impact of having that information to us in a timely manner, and the negative impact of not having it. So what happens downstream when they can spare that 30 minutes or that hour? What happens in their world? Because their world gets better.
So basically, what you're saying is that a couple of things. You know, one, we have a standard timeline, a standard expectation that we should probably set for the entire team.
Yeah, I mean,
these
unless there's
requests.
some reason a workflow definition is gonna be a lot bigger or a lot smaller.
Right, we can
Yeah.
adjust accordingly,
Yeah.
but in general, we're talking about maybe we can standardize that expectation.
Yeah,
We can make the requests coming from the automation team as a whole versus just you going on your own, maybe not having the same authority as maybe the whole group,
Right.
the whole team. And then also, you know, we need to tell the team, or we need to find a way to educate the team
yeah.
on how important this is for them. And it's not just for us, it's not just for our
Right,
needs,
it's
but it
them.
benefits you.
And it's for the customer too.
Right, right.
So how, you know, we may have a discussion about how does this relate to ECE?
Mm.
You know, and I think if we, you know, back to you going to talk to Linda, I think if we can get her to buy into these ideas, if these are the ones we want to run with, then it's going to put us in a better position
Okay, okay.
when it comes to her team members.
I think those are great points. A couple things, you know, there I didn't think about. Maybe I had thought about in the past and just forgotten, or just, you know, over time just took it for granted that they understood the big benefit. But you're right. Good points. I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Couple of things. I guess looking at the overall time management, because I had there's a few points that I'd like to make that work for me,
Mhm.
and maybe they can work for you.
Okay.
You know, and please don't take this as me dictating to you what I want you to do, because I don't want it to come across that way. That's not how I do it. But these are the points that work for me.
Mhm.
There's some things I would like to see come from you, but you flavor it up the way it works for you.
Okay.
Okay? One, and certainly I will have those discussions of those things we talked about already, but one, I would say, be proactive when you're talking with these subject matter experts.
Mhm.
Emails don't always work for
Mhm.
people. Some people just don't respond
Yeah.
they don't see the urgency in an email.
Yeah.
So make sure that we're sitting close enough to everybody. Make sure you go over there and
Mhm.
you're meeting with the people, and just have that discussion. You know, you don't have to sit there and come at them and say, I need this, what's going on? You know, we're all human here. Let's just go and have that friendly discussion with them, and maybe you can find out what's going on.
Mhm.
And you can understand a little bit better. So I'd like to see you be more proactive with that.
Okay.
And a big thing, you know, while we'll set up the standard expectation of what we're looking for,
Mhm.
when you do meet with everybody, let's set some timelines.
Mhm.
Set some timelines with everybody to say, okay, we have, you know, this is an initial review of this workflow. You know, we are expecting it to be done by a certain date.
Mhm. Based on
Yeah.
the policy.
Yeah. Say we have the expectation it might take 3 days. I don't know,
Mhm.
you know, and then we'll sit there and say, you know, and have an agreement with that person. You know, we're not trying to force this down their throat, but let's get this agreement with them. If they say yes, 3 days seems adequate and reasonable, then let's set a time. But walk away with an agreement first,
Mhm.
and you should probably be following up with them also.
Yeah.
Especially, you know, you can, and I like email for this case, follow up with an email saying, this is what I understood our, what we just discussed, and here's the timeline.
Okay.
Okay.
For AdCom?